So Nottingham Forest are in talks with Borussia Dortmund for the signing of Gio Reyna. They do want to grab the player on loan with a purchase option in the summer of 2024. Forest are looking to get the deal done as soon as possible. Like, they're really pushing. And according to the journalist that was reporting this, he did state that an agreement is not far off, but there are still some elements that do need to be sorted out. Now, I know you guys are questioning, like, why would Gio Reyna go to a team like Nottingham Forest, where there were other clubs like Sevilla, Aston Villa, Real Sociedad also very interested in this player to bring him potentially to La Liga or to a great team like Aston Villa. And we talked about this earlier, right? We were like, okay, if Gio Reyna goes to Real Sociedad, that will be perfect because with his style of play, it does map to how La Liga does like to play and how these players are. He's a player that does like to play in very tight spaces, create those like little plays, those 1-2s, make those key passes, etc., etc. We're like, this is perfect, the perfect scenario for Gio Reyna. But now hearing that he might go to this English club, a team that is fighting relegation, it's a little questionable, I would say. Now, if you guys are wondering why Gio Reyna is looking for a move away from Borussia Dortmund, it's because of this. He has only started twice for the German club this season, making 11 appearances also as a substitute. We even saw Gio Reyna miss the first month of the season, mainly because of the injury. But since then, ever since he made that return, he has not really gotten that footstep, right? That firm relationship with the coach that he can be a great starter. He has always been very inconsistent in terms of the amount of minutes he was receiving. So now Gio Reyna is looking for a move away from Borussia Dortmund because he knows that in the horizon, the Copa America is coming up. USA will be facing against the likes of Brazil, Argentina, Uruguay, Chile, whoever is going to be in that Copa America tournament. USA have to put out a good impression because it's what's going to give us an idea on where this US men's national team is at before we go into the World Cup that will be held here in the US in 2026. So it's important for the US to do very well against the teams like Argentina and Brazil. And Gio Reyna wants to be part of that movement, right? That project that Greg Berhalter is creating with the US, if there even is supposedly a sports project by Greg Berhalter. But it is for sure, it is known that Gio Reyna wants to have minutes and a lot of minutes in these next 4 to 5 months to prove to Greg that he should be a starter for the US men's national team in the summer. It's important for his personal development also. Now again, why would he go to a team potentially? Because it's not for sure yet, but why to a team like Nottingham Forest? Now, I want to make one thing very clear before we even get into like this conversation. Recently, I think it was like about 6 to 7 days ago, Gio Reyna moved away from Wasserman, which is like a sports agency, and he went to Jorge Mendes. So he's now with Gesti Food. And ever since Gio Reyna went to Jorge Mendes, that is what allowed him to see a lot of more options on what his future could hold for him. So this is where like everything does play out, right? One of the reasons why he's being linked to a team like Nottingham Forest is because Jorge Mendes works very closely to that club. And we say this because Jorge Mendes has a lot of influence in that English club. For example, recently, the team was looking to hire a brand new coach, and they were looking at a coach named Glasner, who had great credentials, a great track record of bringing success over there when he worked at Germany. And so Nottingham Forest were looking at that coach. But when Jorge Mendes came in and had a word to one of the owners and whoever was like in charge of who they should hire next as their next coach, Jorge Mendes was like, no. Don't worry about Glasner. Forget about him. Let me introduce you guys to what I believe would be a better fit for you guys. And that was Nuno Espírito Santo, a Portuguese coach that did coach Wolves before. And so that club, Nottingham Forest, were like, okay, fine. We'll pick whoever you suggest. Let's hire him as coach. And that, my friends, was the perfect example. And from there moving forward, we're like, oh my God, like this guy here, Jorge Mendes, the super agent, has massive influence on what Nottingham Forest should be doing in their sports project. He literally tells them, sign this player or this coach instead. And many associates have also been saying that the relationship between Jorge Mendes and the owner of Nottingham Forest, who is named Marinakis, have a great relationship. And recently, like in the past 3 to 4 weeks, the relationship has only been getting stronger and stronger. And what many people are speculating is that maybe Jorge Mendes wants to repeat the exact same thing with Nottingham Forest, like what he did with Wolves. He turned Wolves from a regular team to one of the top contenders for the Europa League due to his like his influence and saying, okay, you see my clientele, I think that these players will greatly strengthen your team. So now bring forward the Gio Reyna situation. Now that Gio Reyna has signed with Jorge Mendes is like, okay, you're my new clientele, my new player. Let me give you a few ideas. I think that you should go to a team like Nottingham Forest. I work closely with the owner, this club. They're looking to see if they can sign a brand new number 10, and you're the perfect player. And that influence is what's saying to Gio Reyna, okay, fine, I will go to that English club. So it's crazy how all of this is like working out and playing out. And that's the reason why Nottingham Forest is a club for Gio Reyna. Because like 2 or 3 days ago, if you were to ask me this club could be signing Gio Reyna, I'll be like how would that even come about? Gio Reyna looks much more of a player that will fit with Real Sociedad or Sevilla. But now we are here, and that is the reason why he has been linked to the club and why this deal might be made within these next 48 to 72 hours. So now let's move on towards the next conversation. What type of player is Gio Reyna, and why does this club even say, okay, this is a great idea? So Gio Reyna likes to play as a number 10. He's a player that likes to give out that last final pass, the dangerous pass. Think about the likes of Iniesta. Think about the likes of Kevin De Bruyne and what he brings to Erling Haaland. Think about Pedri, Bellingham. That is what Gio Reyna is. Gio Reyna is a 10, a player that likes to create a lot of chances and make those killer moves, the key passes. And we have seen him bring that type of displays with the US men's national team. Greg Berhalter has used a 4-2-3-1 to use Gio Reyna as the 10, with Timothy Weah on the right side and Christian Pulisic on the left side, and then either having Balogun or Pepe as the number 9. And we have seen Gio Reyna improve as a player when he is playing in those areas and in that role. He can play as a right winger, and he can also play as a left winger. He plays okay, he plays solid, he plays as a regular player that can perform well in Europe. But when you place him as a 10, he is just a different monster. Think about that amazing dribble that he did against Mexico, where he took down like 4 or 5 players. Gio Reyna loves doing things like that. He's entertaining. And so to Nottingham Forest, they're like, okay, Gio Reyna would be a great number 10. Now, they do have a number 10 already, and his name is Morgan Gibbs White. Now, he can also play in different areas. We have seen this player play as a right winger before, sometimes as a striker with Nottingham Forest this season. But one of the reasons why he has been seeing less minutes than usual, it is because of injury. But in the 20 matches that he has played in, he has provided 2 goals and 3 assists. And now the question is, can Gio Reyna be a improved version of this number 10, Morgan Gibbs White? And the answer to that is yes. I know that many people have been concerned that Gio Reyna might not even get minutes at Nottingham Forest because they already have a number 10, a creator. But I think that Gio Reyna can be the improved version of whatever they have over there in Nottingham Forest. If we look at the polar chart of these 2 players, Gio Reyna is just an extension of him, a much more improved version. He is better in expected assist, in open play, better in passes to the final third, better in expected threats through carries, expected threats through passes. He's better in almost everything except for the successful dribbles. Maybe yes, Morgan Gibbs White can be better at dribbling, but in everything else, in terms of being a creator, being a 10, Gio Reyna is your man. So in my opinion, and I know that you may not agree, but I do see this as a solid move. Is it the best move? No, I think that him going to Real Sociedad would be a much better move. But is this a solid move? Yes, he would be with the likes of Matt Turner, with Ethan Horvath. So there's not going to be any language barrier. I don't know if Gio Reyna speaks Spanish, but the fact that he's going to the Premier League, he would be able to communicate with most of the players there because they all speak English. Now we also have to remember that, you know, Nottingham Forest are trying to get out of the relegation zone. They really want to be at the very least in the middle of the table, but they are in some way. There is a big chance that they could end up in the bottom 3, which is sad to see. But there's again a reason why Gio Reyna is going there just on loan with a purchase option. It's not going to be a permanent transfer. If it's a permanent transfer, and we know that Nottingham Forest might go into 18th place or 19th place, and then yes, I would say, why would he go to a club like this? But there's a reason why. It's because, you know, it's a loan. And that's okay, right? He's going to be used a lot through these next 4 to 5 months. And if they get relegated, then Gio Reyna can just hop out of that club, go back to Dortmund, and then Dortmund find another solution with Jorge Mendes, who also has a lot of solutions. And it's a very similar situation of Weston McKennie with Leeds. When he was at Juventus about 2 years ago, he moved to Leeds for 1 season. Leeds got I don't know if they got relegated or something. I forgot, but it was bad at Leeds, and McKennie went back to Juventus, and then he made a name for himself when he went back. You can always go back. Gio Reyna can go back to Dortmund in the summer and then maybe stay there and maybe be convinced by the coach and say, I was wrong about you, or he could just move somewhere else on a permanent transfer where you have much more time. And, it's simply the summer transfer window where every club is looking to buy players. So this does solve the short-term solutions for Gio Reyna and his situation. He gets the minutes that he does need. He gets prepared, and then he gets prepared especially for the Copa America in 2024, and then find a solution in the summer of 2024. It's only for a very temporary phase, and that's basically it. This is not the future of Gio, because I think that Gio can give so much more and can be at a much better place. I think that if you give me a prime Gio, someone who is not injury prone, someone who is always 110% healthy, who is focused, who is committed, who brings actual numbers, great goals and assists, I can see him at a team like Arsenal. I can see him at a team like Real Madrid. I can see him at a team like Manchester City. And so that is it. That is going to be the latest regarding Gio Reyna. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.